Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. This is This Week in Metals.
Yes,
There
sir.
was no last week in metals because
Right.
I took off for a long weekend with the family out in the middle of the wilderness.
Pete,
No
Pete
Wi-Fi,
thinks that he
no
has a
cellular.
life. He doesn't understand that being a broker, you don't have a life. Okay.
Right.
How dare you go with your children somewhere?
Yeah, well, fortunately, I have surrounded myself with good people who
No,
were
that's
kind
nice.
enough to cover my desk. So
You bet. You
shout
bet.
out to Tom Garland and Adam Packard.
Absolutely. Great guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it was uh, it was sort of a mixed bag this
Yeah.
past week in the
Yeah.
metals, even though I missed several days of it. Gold closed up only fractionally higher, just back above
Above
1900
1900,
bucks.
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
encouraged by it, but it's still, very much range bound and very much um, subject to the whims of our fine friends in Congress and, stimulus
Yeah.
and
There's a
the
lot swirling around here. I mean, the idea that we held 1900 after a very stiff break off of 2 grand. I'm okay with it right here. I'm not saying I'm wildly bullish, but it did a nice job.
Yeah, it's hanging in there. For the last several weeks, I think I've mentioned that it's holding the 100-day moving average
Right.
and also the 20-week moving average, which I think is good news. Also, renewed weakness in the dollar over the last several weeks. I had always thought that dollar rally was pretty lame, and more than 70, just less than 78.6% of that rally has already been retraced. And again, that the dollar is moving, based on the next round of stimulus expectations. I'll be honest
Right.
with you, I don't think it's going to happen before the election. I think that both sides are reluctant to concede to either this close to election day, and
Right. This is,
consequently,
you know
it's
what?
not going
It's
to
a
get done.
guess, and we're not here to guess. There's nothing concrete to put our money on. And fortunately, we are not speculators, but we do try to give people an idea of the direction of the market. And right now, we can't.
Yeah.
It's just market is putting in a strong technical basis, like you're saying, it's holding long-term support. But with all the things swirling around, it's tough to call whether it's going to be up or down next week, right?
Right. The vast majority of our clients are hedgers.
Yeah,
The other contingent of our clients are, the retail and wholesale
sure.
buyers of bars and coins.
Yep.
And I think most of that second group would agree that that gold and silver and platinum, for that matter, are just a long-term buy. You buy
Yeah.
it on the dips, or you buy
Buy them
it
on dips. Yeah,
when
and
you
and how
when
long
you
have we been saying? As long as we've been doing this show, and as long as we've been
as
in the
long as
business,
I've been in
buy
the
breaks.
industry.
You buy
Right.
breaks. That's all
Yeah.
there is to it. And it's that's just solid advice. And for your 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, they're all good.
Yeah, absolutely. So silver fared a little better last week. Closed up just about 2%. Um, 25.28 was the high on the week. Shy of resistance, the high from 2 weeks ago at 25.56. Um, but I think ongoing sort of weakness in the ratio, which is trading around 77 or so, still
77, yeah.
generally constructive for the silver market.
77 to 80s are our wheelhouse, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I guess I don't like that it didn't hold gains above 25 bucks again.
Yeah.
But again,
It
back
tried,
in,
right?
yeah, it gave it a run up there
It
and then
gave it a run,
faded
yeah. I
into
mean,
the weekend.
bottom line is at 25 to our bullion and coin dealers, if you're not hedging with us, there's a very good chance that you're losing money. And the bottom line is you should have an account with us. You should be hedging. You should be hedging sharp rallies to mitigate risk in your business. And that it's just that
Yeah,
simple. That's what we're
right.
here for.
I don't think that those guys typically would view themselves as speculators, and yet a lot of them do that very thing. and
Yeah, you're right.
they're therefore,
Why?
kind of subject to the whims, and they'll lose money on some deals and make more money on other deals depending on how they bought the stuff and sold the stuff. And
Right.
you know, I'll tell you, again, from doing this for a long time on both sides of the fence,
Yes, right.
that having the consistency, what your margin is,
Right.
what you want to make on every product.
On every deal. Yep.
Lock it in.
Yeah.
Lock it in. It's so
Hey,
easy.
it's real simple. When you wake up in the morning, you don't care where the price is. How would that be for a little treat?
That's
I mean, if it's down a dollar and you just paid up for it at your shop, you're in trouble.
right.
And if it's down a dollar and you're hedged, you could care less.
Yeah.
So all it means is you'll probably sell more product that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're happy to
Yeah.
explain that to anybody, and set them on the path to
Right.
hedging their inventory.
We kind of dipped off to the side. We're sorry,
Yeah.
guys. So, like we said, we've had kind of a lackluster trade here, attempts to hold highs, but we're in a political mishigash, if you will, and it's going to be that way for a little while. And after the election, we'll know where we're at.
Right. Right. And I would, anticipate volatility, and
Yeah,
there's the certainly the risk, I think, of social unrest based on the outcome of the election,
sure,
and
absolutely.
having some additional safe haven, bought within the range that's dominated for the last several weeks for sure, might be a good idea.
Hmm.
Platinum had
What
an
about it?
outstanding week.
Oh, I,
Close.
I, it, Platinum has been leading the market, and of course, today when I was planning on doing a special with a group, it rallies like $43, and I'm like sitting here dying to tell people to buy it while it's lower, and I'm looking like an idiot now,
Hey,
as they left a half a dollar, $50 on the table,
well,
Oh,
it's still within its range. It did close almost close to 5% higher on Friday, around 905. So back above the 900 level. It was the first close above $900 in 5 weeks,
yeah.
and set a 4 week high of 918.82. Um, so yeah, it just had what do you think is kind of inspiring this over performance in the platinum
Well, I
market?
don't know if so much of it's overperformance or just pent up buying that's been held back, and people just said, everything else has been bought and bought heavily for 6 months, and maybe it's just time, and we had people stepping in. I mean, I had a very lengthy conversation with Trevor Raymond and Brandon Clifford of the Platinum Investment Council, and they're out of London, and they were kind enough to spend some time with me the other day, and we started to discuss the projections because we're seeing South Africa now, with the rolling blackouts, with the lack of production, with the mines being deeper and deeper. They've been mining gold, platinum, palladium out of the same areas for 104 years. How long are those seams going to be good? And we've been seeing those seams producing less and less. So their next place is Russia. And Russia is a very controlled market. They can turn the spigot on, turn the spigot off. And so I talked to them about production, and they said, Pete, it isn't really production anymore. They go, we realize that we're seeing less platinum, but we're seeing good recovery. America's recyclers, EU's recyclers from catalytic converters, they're really doing a phenomenally good job. So he said, what it is we're seeing a whole new era coming for platinum. And we started to talk about hydrogen and the use of hydrogen in the EU. And we really drilled down on it. And I got an interesting number for you guys that in case you want something factual, because we haven't had a lot to hang our head on here. 62% of all shipments by truck in the EU are 400 kilometers or less, which happens to be the standard range of a hydrogen truck. Now, a hydrogen car, it's not that interesting. It really isn't. But hauling with hydrogen, it can carry more weight. It is a lighter vehicle, so it does less damage to the roads. Its range keeps getting bigger and bigger. It recharges faster than electricity. Remember, you just plug the hose in, you fill it up, it's ready to go. And its net emissions are zero. You got water dribbling out
Water.
of the tailpipe. That's it.
Mm.
So the EU is making $185 billion over a period of like 20 years of a commitment for recharging stations, for research. And this is going to become a very, very big deal. So it's my opinion that, contrary to Elon Musk, I know a lot of followers of Elon follow me for a lot of stuff I was recommending in cobalt and lithium 2, 3 years ago when I said Elon was going to have to come to the various Central and South American lithium areas to buy cobalt, to buy cobalt's basically Africa, but lithium, and he's going to have to mine it, and eventually he ended up buying a downstream product. So I was correct there, and in $5 I thought it was a good deal, and when it went to 10, 12, 14, it looked like I was right. So I'm not recommending you invest, but what I'm saying is this: what Pete and I have always agreed on is buy it low and hold it for a long time. And what I'm thinking is this: for our guys with IRA Ross, 401ks, the people that are doing long-term tax-free investment, take a look at some of the wonderful platinum products that are out there. I strongly recommend PAMP. We deal with PAMP. They're great people. They make a tremendous product. Never a counterfeit in my life have I seen from PAMP. Great folks, and we have them available for you if you want to put PAMP products made of platinum into your retirement funds, or you just want to own some platinum. This isn't a bad level, and I'm talking 1 or 2 years now. As long as three maybe. But if you're looking at a T-bill which is paying zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5, and you're looking at platinum, which could possibly go well above where it is now and have a much higher return than that, and in a tax-free area, this could be what you're looking for. So I wanted to go over this very quickly. I'm going to try to drill down on it a little bit more. Pete Grant does a great midweek report. It's called Grant on Gold. We put it out on Wednesday, at the end of Wednesday, kind of just to get you all caught up on what's going on. I'm going to try to insert a few more things in there for you guys. Be sure to drop in on that and subscribe to it.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that. So a couple other things about platinum.
Sure.
The Platinum Investment Council also had a great piece this week
They do
about
good work, by the way,
about
guys. Anybody wants some information, that's a terrific source. I never steered me wrong.
yeah. So they had
Yeah.
a nice piece in their 60 seconds on platinum segment about shipping.
Ah,
You know, um, container ships and larger
sure,
size ships
sure.
using hydrogen um, to drive the ships, and it was a pretty interesting piece, and
It's
much the
brilliant.
same
And
way.
you know what, guys, remember that there's a lot of talk about different types of catalytic converters, crack water, to take your H2O and get your H2 off, use your hydrogen, but they have an 8 time higher loss ratio. A lot of your phosphorus bases, your nickel phosphorus, they have a much higher lysing rate when you run the water over to do your cracking over your membranes. You get a higher loss ratio on its base, whereas with platinum you get a lower loss ratio, so the platinum lasts longer. So it's going to be the material of choice to crack water with, to crack substances to get your hydrogen. So I'm going to stick with that, and I think that ships, heavy container ships, and long range, as in 400 kilometers or more trucks, are going to lead the way. And very soon we will see that once they catch on in the EU the way they're going to, it's America's next, right, Pete?
Right. I think that's probably true. And Mike Malone from Bloomberg Intelligence has kind of
Sure,
latched onto
good
that
guy. Yeah,
theory as well.
yeah,
Um, and uh, so I'm pretty optimistic on platinum.
yeah.
From an investment perspective as well, because it's $1,000 less than gold
No,
per
it's
ounce.
no, wait a minute. It's 1,100 bucks less than gold, and by the way, the scarcity of it is increasing. So there's less of it, and it's cheaper. It's attractive,
Right. And since March, since the big COVID sell-off in metals
right?
and commodities, it's outperformed gold, um, you know, by twice as much. It's
It's
up about
interesting, yeah,
60
and
60% from
it's
the
kind
low.
of the sleeper. Nobody's
Right.
noticed it, which is why we're doing the show right now. Is the fact that it's been picking up steam, and people are noticing it, and we're getting these pops in it, and even though we can never project or pick a point for you where it's good to enter, but the thing is that we're talking for as far as longevity goes, just step in. Don't. You're not
Yeah.
here to scalp the market. You're here to buy and hold.
Yeah. And to be fair, during the COVID crisis, that point of the COVID crisis where things were getting locked down and stuff, it
Yeah.
did sell off more than gold as well, but it's
Right.
recovered all
Okay.
those losses,
Yeah. I'm
at
glad you
least
mentioned that.
with respect to the ratio between gold.
Well, look
So
at it. It's very simple. This is speculation. You can lose money in it. Hey, there's not even a question on that. We're saying there is a high probability over a long period of time that this will have a good return. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but it sure looks that way.
yeah. So moving on to palladium,
Yeah.
continues to track higher within that bull channel.
Yep.
Um, I think it still looks pretty good. Uh,
You
it
think
was up.
2,500's back in the cards here?
I think that's reasonable. I mean, we closed just
Okay.
below 2,400
Right.
bucks last week, so up a
Yeah.
little bit over 2%. So overall, it still looks good as long as I think it's in the channel and tracking above the significant
Right.
moving averages and so forth. So
And we're
um,
seeing car sales were rather surprising in light trucks too, don't you think?
yeah, yeah. So we've been kind of keeping an eyeball on
Right.
that as well, and that's the major source of demand for
Yeah.
palladium. So, even with the uptick in COVID cases, I think that there's still this sense of optimism about recovery, and
Yeah, there is.
we'll get to that in a minute as we look ahead to data, coming out for this week. But economic recovery bodes well for auto sales and
Yeah.
truck sales, and that's gonna, I think, bode well
And
for
stimulus checks. A
palladium.
lot of people are, plopping down some of that money.
Right. And if there's another stimulus check in our future, and
Yep.
I think there is, no matter who wins the election
Yeah.
in several weeks,
Right.
some new form of stimulus is going to be passed. My only point was that I don't think it's going to happen before the election,
Yeah, right.
but it'll happen after the election, one way or the other. I'm pretty convinced of that.
Hey,
Um,
we've got some pretty big numbers coming up next week, don't we?
yeah, yeah. Let's touch on copper real quick
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it
Thank you.
traded up to $3.21, almost 22 cents the last
Well, I
week. It
was
was,
popping the champagne, but then I was slapped down for it.
it got
I mean, it was. Let's put it this way: that we projected technically with Pete's charts. What was your number, Pete?
the 330 is still
Three
sort of what I'm
thirty.
looking for,
Oh
but
yes,
so it traded as high as 321,
not bad.
sold off, towards the end of the week down
Yeah,
to 313,
with the rest of the
314.
market. I mean, it was a pretty big break across the board.
Yeah, but it was
A lot of the base metals, nickel, iron, a lot of them, aluminum, we saw them all sell off.
And so it was nearly a 2.5 year high in
Right.
copper. And I think that, factors into that recovery scenario that we're just talking about,
Well,
because
that's
copper's
well
the
put.
leading indicator, right?
Yes, and it is reflected in housing sales. We have a housing sale number coming up, and we're all interested in that. And like we're talking about car sales.
Yeah,
We see cars and light truck vehicles. And remember, 20 to 40 pounds of copper in every vehicle. Electric cars, as their sales continue to grow, we're talking almost 120 pounds of copper to a vehicle. So we're getting a lot of consumption there. COVID lockdown, remember, everybody's looking around going, oh, I need a new washing machine and a new dryer. My refrigerator isn't what it should be. And they've been replacing stuff. We had a big spike up in durable goods buys and then a little fade back here lately, Pete. And I think that we could see another little uptrend in that.
right. So as you alluded to, housing data was pretty good last
Yeah,
week. Initial claims came in under 800,000 for the
that
first
was a
time
good
in quite
number.
a
Yeah,
while. So expectations were 860. It came in at
right,
787. Um, so that all looked pretty good last week. This week, as you said, we've got new home sales
right.
out on Monday.
Yep.
1.023 million is the expectation.
That's going to be a very interesting number.
Yeah, durable goods out on Tuesday,
Yeah, and there's
plus
our copper, right?
0.3% is what the
What
expectation
was the
is.
expectation, Pete? I
Plus
interrupted.
0.3
That's gonna
percent.
be interesting to see. That's a big number.
There's
If
a
if we pass through that, it's gonna be very exciting for
Yeah, but
copper.
the data, over the last several months has been pretty good on durable goods.
Yeah,
Consumer
yeah.
confidence is a big number. Market
Yes, it is.
expectations is 102.8, up from 101.8 in September. But I'm hearing a whisper of like 104. So
Wow.
I think that people are starting to get pretty optimistic here, even
Wow.
with the new COVID cases.
Yeah.
Here's the big one on Wednesday. Q3 advanced GDP. Market expectations plus 31.9%.
Hmm.
So that pretty much offsets the minus 31.4% in Q2. Again, I'm hearing a whisper of higher, more like 33 and a half. So, that would be huge to,
That
to,
means
to
we're
see.
back. I mean, that
We're
means we're
back,
back.
baby.
Yes, it, man. Roll them.
Yeah.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Right. So
Yeah.
I mean that's a great number. If it really does come in to meet or be near expectations or even better than expectations, as the
Well,
whisper indicates, that's great news.
we're
And
seeing some very interesting things for as far as undertones go, like huge investments in like in Macau, big money going into the casinos, buying the casinos that were extremely depressed. A lot of stocks you wouldn't think people were stepping into have been happening. So they're all pointing to what you're saying, which is, happy days are here again, man.
yeah, we're not out from the shadow of COVID by any stretch yet,
Right.
but we're certainly seeing some encouraging signs. And I would say look for GDP, consumer confidence next week, durable goods, and home sales are gonna tell us a lot. And
Right.
then we've got personal income on Friday, along with PCE. Both numbers look pretty good. Plus 0.4 on personal income and plus 1% on PCE. Then we also have Bank of Canada, Bank of Japan, and ECB announcing policy this week. So again, not expecting any change in policy at this point. Keep the foot on the monetary gas pedal across the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. And I don't see anybody slowing up or raising rates. There's a couple of people muttered that they were considering it, but it's not going to happen.
No, not yet, not
No,
yet.
no. So gold is safe from that little quagmire for the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we've covered everything, Pete. What do you
I hope
say?
so. I hope so. I think, like I said, guys get in here, start hedging on some of these spikes. Don't forget to look at Pete's letter in midweek. Zaner Precious Metals, if you're looking to buy some metal, we're one of the most reliable people in the industry. We'll be more than happy to send you what you need. And it's all done online, and you open your account online and it's done. So come on in.
Absolutely. And with that, I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver.
Pete Thomas in Chicago, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot for dropping by, guys.